I'm looking around the NFL right now, Coach, and we have 7 jobs available as it sits. That's the Titans, Giants, Falcons, Browns, Raiders, Cardinals, and one that maybe not many people would expect, the Ravens and John Harbaugh being let go. Your immediate reaction to this one, a little surprising to a lot of people.
It was very surprising to me, Jack. And we were in Pittsburgh. And as you know, that was all the buzz. Well, whoever loses this game, their coach is in trouble. I was in the Steelers' offices on Saturday and I saw Art Rooney. And so I knew that that part of it, if Pittsburgh lost, I knew that wasn't true. I
Yeah.
assumed that was true for John Harbaugh, that he was not in trouble. But then they lose the game and we get this news and it shocked me. I'll tell you that. I just thought the Ravens organization and how they're run, I was very, very surprised. You have a coach that's taken you to the playoffs 12 times, and the record they've had in the last 4 years, I did not see this coming.
So obviously they've been tremendous in the regular season. Lamar Jackson's been awesome. In the playoffs, for whatever reason, it hasn't gone their way. It has not worked out. Do you think that's the big factor here? Do you think it's a relationship with Lamar? I mean, what do you think it is at the end of the day?
The two things that I'm hearing, and just this is just from outside research, is number one, in the last 4 years, the number of blown double digit leads in the second half. And if you think back to us, Jack, we had them 3 times this year.
Yep.
Big lead in Buffalo, looked like the best team in football for 3 quarters. They lose the game. They're up 12 points on New England at home and lose the game. And then now you take the lead in Pittsburgh and you've got the division on the line and you lose the game. So I get that part of it. Maybe disappointment that we're not finishing off games and what's wrong there. The other thing that I'm hearing is that it was not a John Harbaugh, Lamar Jackson tip, but maybe Lamar wasn't pleased with the offensive coordinator and people saying maybe John Harbaugh needs to change offensive coordinators. And I'll tell you what, that has happened to me in my coaching career where management says, hey, you need to change coaches. We're not happy with this guy or that guy. And then you got a decision to make.
I mean, from my perspective, it seems to me like John Harbaugh has done everything in his power, including picking Lamar Jackson to build the offense around his skill set and put him in a position to be successful. Is that true or false from where you sit?
It's absolutely true. Ozzie Newsome, I can remember it, where they traded up into the first round. And, there were questions on Lamar. And they said, no, we're going to go get this guy and we're
Yep.
going to build this offense around him. We're going to do it to feature him. And they have. And he's won 2 MVPs. It's been sensational from that standpoint. It just hasn't culminated in a Super Bowl. And sometimes that can be frustrating. Gosh, we've done all this and we haven't gotten to a Super Bowl.
Yeah. The immediate question I would ask is be relative to what? Okay, so who are you going to hire? If you're going to fire John Harbaugh, I mean, who are you going to bring in that's going to be better? And coach, is there any name that pops into your mind when you think about that? If you're Steve Bisciotti making the decision?
Yeah, I think you have to look at it, and this is not a time to train a coach. Now, this is not a time to look and say, okay, long term, I'm going to have this guy for the next 10 years. You've got a roster that's ready for a Super Bowl. You need somebody with experience, somebody that can mold this group into take that next step and get to a Super Bowl. And I'm not sure who that is right now. There's a couple of people out there, a couple names, and we've had a couple of Charger games. Jesse Mentor is a guy who's been mentioned in a lot of places. Very, very good young coach. Has been in the Baltimore organization, knows the lay of the land there, would be a good name. But if I'm ready trying to win a Super Bowl, do I take a coach like that? Or do I maybe look at, I'm going to throw a name out there, Leslie Frazier. Okay, he's
Hmm.
in Seattle, assistant head coach. He's been in Baltimore. He might be ready to just, hey, take a 2 or 3 year run and see if we can get to a Super Bowl. Um, that to me is more of what I would be looking at if I were in Steve Bisciotti's position.
Very interesting. The first time, and I've mentioned this to you before, the first time a kind of flag went up for me was I talked to a couple of veteran players when Mike McDonald made the decision to go to Seattle. And it was that off season. And they were kind of disappointed that he didn't get the
Yes.
opportunity or the
Yeah.
conversation to get elevated to the head coaching role. And from my perspective at that point, I went, wait a minute, Harbaugh won a Super Bowl there, all the success he's had, everything that you laid out, it didn't make sense to me. But that was the first time that I thought, maybe there are conversations within that locker room that a new voice or something may be beneficial for this group. And it also spoke to how much they liked Mike Macdonald. And man, as his success turned out to
Yeah.
be
And
the
I
truth
get
with
that.
what they were
I could
saying.
see saying, hey, we want Coach McDonald here. And maybe, John, maybe we go to him and say, how long are you going to do this? And maybe 4 more years, and Mike's going to take over. So, Mike, stay here.
Right.
You're going to get that job. Maybe you could have done it that way. But Mike McDonald was too hot, and he was too good to stay there with the success that they had. And he's proven that.
That's true. All right. So if you're Coach Harbaugh at this point, obviously these jobs available, the Titans, the Giants, the Falcons, the Browns, the Raiders, the Cardinals are some good cities really to choose from. What is the most attractive job right now to you, Coach?
To me, I would really look at Atlanta, and I would say, you know what? It's a division doesn't have a dominant force in the division. They've got a young quarterback that they believe in. He's injured, but they've got a guy in Kirk Cousins who's there. Their defense made marked strides, and there's some talent there. So if that one, I'd be particularly interested in that one. I think John Harbaugh could do a very good job there.
And is that better than the New York Giants to you?
Well, New York, you have a young quarterback to work with. It looks like he's going to be your franchise guy. But New York's been dysfunctional for a long time, and
Yeah.
and you also have to get past Philadelphia, who's strong right now. So you could come in and do a really good job and still be the second best team in that division for a couple of years. But I like Atlanta, just where they are with their personnel and the division they're in. I think that could be very, very interesting.
I like it. I really wasn't thinking that, but it does seem like the South comes down to the final game every year. It's anybody's division. Half the time, it doesn't even feel like they have a winning record when they win the division. That they're competing with like an 8-9 record
Yeah.
trying to get in that thing. And so maybe it would make sense to go there, Coach.
And you can make an argument that Atlanta, for the last month, was the best team in that division.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, they finished tied for first place. If they just don't screw up a couple of games earlier in the season, they're in the playoffs. And Raheem Morris,
If they beat the Jets, they're in the playoffs.
that's it. That's it. That's it. The amazing thing is everybody thought this was going to be the year where Michael Penix takes off and becomes a star, and he ends up getting banged up. He played banged up, and then he has to leave the lineup. Kirk Cousins comes in, who they had basically given up on and made him a backup, and he starts stringing together wins down the backstretch of the season. Like going into next year, is it clear that Penix is still your quarterback?
Well, not necessarily. I mean, you can build on that, and if he comes back from that injury, plug him in, and he's good to go. Kirk Cousins, just knowing him, Jack, and his personality, whether he's the starter or the backup, he's going to give you 100%. He's going to give you leadership. So to me, you've got two people in place that you can pick from, and either way you go, you're going to be okay. You've got some young defenders now that stepped up, and the draft choices seem to click. You've got a really good secondary. There's a lot of and to me, I think you got the best back in football. So
Yeah.
I think there's a lot to build on there.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.